Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Don from 1A Auto. I hope this how-to video helps you out. And the next time you need a part for your vehicle, think of 1AAuto.com. Thanks.
In this video, we're going to be showing you how to replace the front struts on this 2007 Mazda 3 Series. We'll show you the right-hand side. Left-hand side is the same procedure, and obviously we always recommend that you replace your struts in pairs. You'll need a new set of loaded struts from 1AAuto.com, jack and jack stands, 13 to 19 millimeter sockets, ratchets, and a breaker bar or pipe for some extra leverage. A couple of the bolts are pretty tough. Flat blade screwdriver, locking pliers, a large hammer, a 5 to 10 pound sledge, penetrating oil, and a torque wrench. Start out by removing your wheel and tire. Our vehicle has hubcaps, so you remove the hubcap first. We have the benefit of air tools. If you're not using air tools, you'll want to loosen the lug nuts with the vehicle on the ground first, then raise and support the vehicle and remove the lug nuts, wheel and tire. We're going to apply some penetrating oil to the bolt that holds the lower strut, and as well as the upper bolt for the stabilizer link. There is a clip that holds the brake hose into the strut, and use a screwdriver to pry that clip out. You can pry from the side first and then kind of pry up from below and pull the clip out. And once you've removed the clip, just pull the hose free. Now take a pair of vice grip or locking pliers and lock it onto the back side of the stabilizer shaft, and then there's a 14 millimeter bolt, and remove that with a 14 millimeter socket and ratchet. Now there's a 17 millimeter bolt that holds the steering knuckle to the strut, and you can see I'm using a 17 millimeter socket, a ratchet, and a pipe for some extra leverage to loosen up that bolt. Need to make sure that you spray that bolt with a lot of penetrating oil beforehand. Help this process along. Okay, and here we just shed that extra pipe and remove the bolt the rest of the way. I'm going to coat with penetrating oil around the bottom of the strut where it goes in the steering knuckle, and then use a nice big sledge hammer and just hit the steering knuckle directly at first. Once you get it to move, then put a piece of wood in just so you don't do too much damage to the steering knuckle, and use the wood and hammer to drive it the rest of the way off. There are three 14 millimeter bolts that hold the strut in at the top. We'll remove those. And one note as we fast forward here, you want to remove two of the bolts and then just loosen up one of the bolts most of the way. You want to leave one bolt intact. Okay, with one bolt still up top installed, push down on the steering knuckle and break the bottom free. Now finish removing that top bolt and bring the strut down and out. Old strut on the left, new strut from 1AAuto on the right. You can see all the mounting points are the same. It's going to install just the same. Okay, ready to install the new strut. There's the stabilizer link mount that goes right to the back. Easy way to line it up. Put the strut up in and then start one of the bolts on. Just have to matter of lining it up. And once you have one of the bolt holes lined up, then start the bolt on. And once you get one, you can start the other two. Now we'll just fast forward, and we're not tightening these up all the way, we're just kind of preliminarily tightening them up. Now we're ready to put the bottom back together. Put some penetrating oil or grease in there, it'll help you get things together. Push the steering knuckle down, line it up with the strut, and push it in. And once you've got it started, put a floor jack underneath the spindle and jack it up, and that will force the spindle with the steering knuckle up onto the strut. Now you can put the bolt through, and it will only go through if the strut is together enough. And we'll fast forward here as we just preliminarily tighten that bolt up. And now we'll use a torque wrench. Now bring the hose down, feed it through, and up into position, and put the clip back in place. And fast forward here as we put that stabilizer link back in place, thread the nut on, put the locking pliers on the back side, and tighten it up. Get it nice and tight. And keep the speed going here as we put the wheel and tire back on, thread the lug nuts on, and tighten them up preliminarily. Reinstall the the wheel cover, noting the position of the valve stem. And now we're going to tighten and torque the upper bolts. And repeat all that for the opposite side, and you should be all set with nice new struts. We hope this helps you out. Brought to you by www.oneauto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet. Please feel free to call us toll-free 888-844-3393. We're the company that's here for you on the internet and in person.